And I assure you we won't keep you long so you can get to the festivities. I do want to make a few introductions. First of all, my name is Scott Wilson. I'm the President and CEO at SeaComm. To my right, I have Mr. Earl Jackson. He is the last remaining charter member who actually signed the charter on June 6, 1963 to form SeaComm Federal Credit Union. To his left is Tina Holmes, who is a teller in our Ogdensburg branch. She'll be participating in the ceremony. And to her immediate left is Rick Maloney, our branch manager in Malone. To my left is my bosses, the board of directors, Mr. Myron Burns, chairman, Mr. Gary Fuller, secretary, Mr. Keith Edwards, a director, Patricia Dodge, a director, and Rhonda Pupor, our treasurer. I would also like to just mention that we actually had an anniversary committee who really organized all of this stuff. I was asked many times what was going to happen. All I could say is I just knew how much money they were going to spend. But I would like to acknowledge that. Tammy Harrigan, our Vice President of Market Communications, headed up that committee. At this time, I'd like to introduce Rick Maloney to come up and talk about our history.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm going to mention names.
In 1963, 10 General Motor employees and $50 started the credit union. In 1966, we had 350 members with an asset size of $65,000. The office was located at the UAW Hall. 1971, 800 members and assets of $250,000. The office was relocated to East Orvis Street. 1975, now Seaway Community Federal Credit Union. There were 1,200 members with assets of $600,000. 1979, relocated to 30 Stern Street here on Route 37, where we are today. 1983, new name and logo, we became SeaComm Federal Credit Union. 1984, grown to 11,000 members with assets of $33 million. 1985, opened a new retail branch in Potsdam. 1990, opened a new retail branch in Malone. 2001, 26,000 members strong with assets of $130 million. 2004, the fifth retail branch was opened in Canton. In 2008, the call center operations moved to its own building at 35 Andrews Street in Massena. Over 33,500 members and assets grew to over $250 million. 2010, sixth retail branch opened in Ogdensburg. And in 2013, over 40,000 members with an asset size of $474 million. That's fantastic. Happy anniversary, SeaComm.
Thank you, Rick. Tina Holmes will acknowledge the 10 charter members.
Thank you very much for this privilege. Our 10 members are James A. Capel, Paul R. Catlin, James R. Ellis, Harold H. Guile, Earl M. Jackson, Carl L. McDonald, Daryl Mills, Max M. Ryan, Frank E. Sequin, and John the Carcass.
Thank you, Tina. Before I introduce the chairman of the board, I just want to let you know, Pete Darling was also chairman of our board of directors in the past. Mr. Darling? Myron? Thank you, Scott. This looks like a lot of paper, but I'll keep it short. Good afternoon, everyone.
on behalf of the Board of Directors, the Supervisors, and the Supervisory Committee, I welcome you to this historic event for SeaComm Federal Credit Union. 50 years is quite a milestone for any business. What's really amazing is the fact that it all started with volunteers, and still today we have people volunteering to serve the credit union. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the employees that have helped plan and put this event together. They may be employees, but they have all given some of their personal time to help. And this is what credit unions are based on, people helping people. I'd also like to recognize some of the folks that have been instrumental in helping form SeaComm. Mr. Jackson, Mr. Darling, thank you. I know that Bud Brooks is going to be here sometime. And then we have Gary Fuller. Gary has been a volunteer for over 50 years. Gary's not just a volunteer, but has been a mentor for countless new board members. I know he has shared some of his wisdom with me, and I thank you for that, Gary. We also have the past CEO, Bud, as I mentioned. Bud here yet? Or no? Okay. All these folks have led SeaComm in a positive direction. Once again, thank you all for participating in this historic event, and we hope we get a chance to reconnect with some new old faces from the past. Enjoy. This starts the next 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Myron. And I have been accused of being short, but not on my speeches. It is very humbling to be leading SeaComm in its 50th year. This milestone is a concrete way for us to look back and appreciate all of the hard work and dedication that has been accomplished since those early days. It all started with a toolbox, which is iconic for us today and can be seen in the lobbies of our branches. $50 and a shared vision of 10 Chevrolet foundry workers who each wanted to improve the financial lives of not only themselves, but those they worked with. That vision is no less important today than it was back on June 6, 1963. Earl Jackson, who I introduced earlier, one of the original 10, as I like to call him, is still an active member of the credit union today. He has reminded me when we spoke on occasion that in those early days, how SeaComm has become so very much more than he had ever dreamed. Even though the name has changed a number of times since that signing of the charter, that is a great testament to all of those who have built upon that very foundation which he and those other men believed in. We are so much more than about conducting transactions at a teller window. We are about being there for our members when they are in need. That is what the original Federal Credit Union Act in 1934 intended. The following excerpt was a letter that was sent to our Board of Directors in 2012 from a member, which really sums up what happens at SeaComm every day. Thank you for the guidance and help that is given during a time of needed financial planning of my life. You answered the call and addressed my request to get through a stressful situation. Your number one answer was, we at SeaComm care for every member, and we will help and direct them to a better life of success and prosperity. It makes me feel proud to be a SeaComm Federal Credit Union member. As Arthur Ashe Jr. once said, success is a journey and not a destination. Today we celebrate our 50 years of shared success. That journey is continual as we work each and every day to improve the financial lives of our 40,000 plus members and the communities in which we do business. In 2010, we opened our 6th retail branch in Ogdensburg, and I had remarked at the grand opening event that it was the first time that a SeaComm branch was being opened without the presence of a General Motors plant in operation. Even though we no longer have that physical reminder, it is no less important. Our beginnings will be forever entrenched in those early days at the Chevrolet plant. We would be remiss if we didn't recognize another individual who was and has been extremely instrumental in the past 5 decades of shared success SeaComm has enjoyed. That man is Gary Fuller. Gary, who has been a volunteer with the credit union for its entire history.
recently, Gary reminded us that in those very early days, this credit union was run completely by volunteers until enough revenue was generated to hire paid staff. Just a belief in doing what was right for the right reasons. That is commitment. Those 50 years of leadership have been unwavering by Gary. Today, we are honoring him by planting this tree behind me, the roots will serve as a constant reminder to all of us for the many years to come about this cooperative's foundation, and specifically for Gary's 50 years of board leadership. This reminder will help solidify for us what we already know is the key to SeaComm's success, and that is never forgetting our roots, by continuing to fulfill our unwavering mission of taking care of our members, by doing the right thing for them every single day. On a personal note, Gary, thank you. On behalf of the 40,000 members, thank you. It is an incredible responsibility started by men like Gary and Earl, and which have been continued today by our board of directors, who are volunteers themselves, management, and our dedicated staff, to carry on such a rich history of continuing that journey that was started by those 10 men a half a century later. Thank you very much. Would you like to say something? No. The plaque here will be permanently placed by the tree in honor of 50 years of dedicated board leadership, Gary Fuller. Earl and Gary are also getting our iconic toolbox, and I believe it didn't look like this 50 years ago. SeaComm Federal Credit Union, June 6, 1963 through 2013, 50 years and counting. We are still committed to our roots.
Should we get the videotape?
I just have to, one parting word, and we'll let you get to the party. Earl asked how much his share is worth 50 years later, and I emphatically told him $5. Thank you very much. Enjoy the party.